The story of Naruto is one we all know. Most of us actually probably know all the main points of it by heart. I know I do. That's why the funnest stories to tell for me are the ones that offer a great change and allow my imagination to run wild, with only a small guidance from the main plot. And this video is no different. Naruto was born in Konoha, abused, and then rose to become a hero, overcoming pain, the Akatsuki and Kaguya, and then eventually overcoming the hatred in the hearts of Kurama, the tailed beasts, Sasuke, and even himself. But what happens when one alters that formula? What happens when that formula is altered in such a way as to remove Naruto from his own story, and maybe put him in the story of someone else? Well, let's get into that. Please direct your gaze upward as I show you another of the Amagi's infinite Tsukuyomi worlds. Welcome to the Amagi. Before we begin, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed, so if you're a fan of the video, please like and double check if you're subscribed, and with that out of the way, let's get into the video. This all started a long time ago in a village known as Sunagakure, Naruto's birth. What was this? The Sage of Six Paths wondered as he watched this occur. Was it some twisted joke? It was as if the bond Naruto and Gaara had formed and the desire to understand one another had willed that in some alternate time and space that one be reborn as the other. So in that way, Naruto could be born as Gaara, his originally sand yellow hair being the same red that his original clan would have been, and Gaara, who would have been born with red hair, was to be born with blonde. Naruto wouldn't even be known as Naruto anymore, but instead by the name chosen by Rasa and Karura, Gaara. But, you know, for the sake of the viewer, I'm just going to continue to refer to Naruto and Gaara by the names official and canon to them, because it's easier that way. The sage continued to watch from his place outside of the afterlife. Naruto once again was born in love, into the arms of his mother, but this time was very different. This time, Naruto was born into the arms of Karura instead of Kushina, and this time, Naruto was small. Very small. Very, very small. He almost seemed unhealthy, and so he should because he was premature. But that didn't stop Karura from bringing him into the world with a smile. And even though the bleeding wouldn't stop, even though her life was ebbing away, she was glad that she had done it. She was glad to see this new life enter the world, this new love. And by that love, she named him as such. But as I said before, I will continue to refer to Naruto by his original name as to not cause confusion. Naruto had been born premature, and neither of these things were his fault, nor were they his mother's. Both, for all intents and purposes, were very healthy. What wasn't healthy was the decision of the Suna Council and of Rasa himself to put the one-tail, Shukaku, into Naruto before his birth, finding that he was compatible with it, whereas Kankuro and Temari were not. They couldn't even wait until after he was born, and because of this, Naruto was born prematurely, and Karura died. Naruto never officially got to meet her. He was still unconscious when she brought him into the world. They managed to get him breathing on his own, but he was still unconscious all the same. He would eventually be taken away to be cared for, and the family informed of Kurura's death. It was then that Temari had to take on a more mother-like role for the family. She could never forget hearing Kankuro cry throughout the night, knowing his mother was never coming home. But she couldn't do it alone, and Rasa was just an absolutely terrible person. So that was what brought Yashimaru into their lives. Yashimaru was their uncle and was the man trusted the most by their father, Rasa, and served as the right-hand man to the 4th Kazekage himself. Yashimaru would be the dedicated guardian of the family, even if his role was specific to Naruto himself. Naruto continued to grow, and as he grew, he could tell that there was something different about him. From the very start, he knew that he had a demon inside of him, one of ravenous hunger, one that desired to devour everything that it came across. After that realization, though, his father began training him vigorously, without mercy, to grow stronger. Naruto came to realize the truth. He was a weapon. Again! Rasa cried. Naruto sat in the sand, panting, tired, tears in his eyes. But Dad, I'm trying. It won't work. Don't tell me it won't work. I know what you are. I made you. Now get up and do it again. Naruto rose to his feet. He held out his hand. Concentrate, he said within himself. Concentrate. Slowly, the sand began to stir as a small bit of it began to rise from the ground. This sand was rich in various minerals and metals. It was said that this desert had once been home of the demon who now rested within Naruto, which is why others said the sand felt different. It was not recommended that one should walk through the desert without shoes on, because in doing so, one was at risk of cutting their feet from the roughness of this sand's texture. But as he commanded it, the sand began to rise. He smiled. "Look, father, I'm doing it." Rasa scoffed. "All that does is prove that you're a liar. You can do it, Naruto." Rasa turned around and with a swipe of his hand caused a tidal wave of sand that moved in the opposite direction. "See that? That is what you need to do. What you're doing now isn't enough to even fill an hourglass. It's not good enough. You'll practice more until you can do it." "But father, I'm so tired," Naruto said. "No more excuses. Continue your drills." "I can't go on, father." Rasa's face twisted in anger. "You'll go on until I tell you to stop. You'll practice until you either get it or die. If you can't control your powers, you're of no use to me." And so Naruto continued to train until it was obvious that he would make no progress, and that he would be wasted if Rasa let him die. And so Rasa let him go for the day. Naruto would walk back to Suna from the desert. Night was almost here, and as he walked through the streets, he saw the people nearby. The way they looked at him had always been strange. Was it perhaps because he was the son of the fourth Kazekage? Was that why they were avoiding him? He checked his wallet and found he still had a little allowance left over. He walked to a ramen shop and headed in. As soon as he sat down, the ones nearby got up and left. Naruto noticed, but he didn't say anything about it. He would then look to the one making the ramen and ask for a bowl. The cook dropped everything he was doing just to serve Naruto, providing food for him. Naruto would go to give him money to pay for the bowl, but the man refused to take it. Naruto insisted, but the cook further said that it was on the house. Naruto thanked him and began to eat. As he did so, he looked around the shop and saw a group of kids from school that he knew. His face lit up and he walked over to sit with them. They immediately clammed up when they saw him. One of the kids smiled awkwardly. "Oh, hey Naruto, what's up?" Naruto smiled. "Nothing much. I just got done with training and decided to get something to eat. Can I sit with you guys?" The classmate looked around the table. The other kids' eyes were wide, but none dared say anything to Naruto. The one Naruto had asked nodded his head. "Sure." Naruto sat down in the booth with them. The kid to his left had scooted all the way against the wall and was looking away from him, hands curled up. Naruto noticed this, but said nothing. "So, have you guys seen the new Kagemasa movie?" The kid, who was obviously in charge right now, smiled. "No, we haven't. It looks good, though." Naruto nodded. "It was good. If you want, maybe I can take you guys to see it tomorrow. It'll be so much fun." The other kids at the table began rummaging around in their minds for an excuse, but for a solid 5 seconds, the only word uttered was, "You guys don't want to see it with me?" Naruto asked. "No, it's not that," the most talkative child said. "It's just that our parents are so strict. We don't know when we'll be free enough to actually go see it. I hope you understand." Naruto smiled brightly. "Oh, I totally understand. My dad's strict too." But the truth was becoming more and more obvious to him. But he didn't want to press it. Naruto wasn't malevolent, nor did he hate any of the children. He just wished that they'd maybe be open to being friends with him. It wasn't like he was out to get them or anything. Yeah, he had problems, but he was working hard every day to fix or at least manage them. In silence, he ate along with the others. The kid opposite to him went to grab his chopsticks to eat. His hands were shaky though, and so when he attempted to pick them up, he dropped them on the ground. Oh, let me get it," Naruto said. "No, it's okay, Naruto." The kid suddenly began to reach down to pick it up. Naruto reached down as well. "No, I insist." Suddenly, sand shot from Naruto's hand, gripping the child's hand, and pressure added until each of the bones in his hand had been thoroughly crushed. This happened too quickly for anyone to notice. The child cried in pain as Naruto pulled his hand back. "I'm sorry." Another child hugged onto the boy as the one Naruto was sitting next to curled up into a ball and began to weep. I'm sorry," Naruto said as he began to stand. The only child to still have his faculties about him was crying himself. "We don't want any trouble, and we haven't bothered you. Why can't you just leave us alone?" The words hurt Naruto deeply, but he looked at the child and realized that he had hurt him. He was a monster, just like everyone claimed him to be. He turned around and ran out the door into the night. Running through the darkness after the commotion within the ramen shop, everyone was looking at him. He looked around. "I'm not a monster, I swear," he shouted as he suddenly kicked up a sandstorm that began to rip flesh from bone. He was at the center of a tornado made of sand, blood, and the bones of those nearby. He panicked further and began to run home. Entering the house, he quickly shut the door. He locked it. Tamari and Kankuro saw him. He looked at them for a short moment before running to his bedroom, closing the door behind him. He got into his bed and pulled the sheets and covers up over his head and began to cry. He did this for about 30 minutes until eventually he heard the door open. "Naruto," a voice said. "Naruto." The footsteps drew closer until a hand grabbed the sheets and began to pull them down. Naruto was greeted by the worried face of Yashimaru. "Naruto, what's wrong?" Naruto looked up at him, tears still rolling down his cheeks. "I did something bad, uncle. And I didn't mean to do it. I couldn't stop it. I didn't want to." Do you want to tell me about it? Yashimaru asked. I got back from training and I was so tired and hungry. I went to a ramen shop and got something to eat. I saw some people from the academy and wanted to hang out with them. But when one of them dropped their chopsticks, I went to pick it up and I crushed their hand. Then I went outside and everyone was so scared of me and looking at me. I told them that it was a misunderstanding and that I wasn't a bad guy. But then a sandstorm kicked up and I killed everyone on the street. Yashimaru was worried about this and his face was obvious. But then he smiled. But of course, you didn't mean to. Naruto shook his head. No, but I still did it. I don't know how I'm gonna live with myself. Yashimaru smiled a little brighter. No, you didn't do anything. The sand? That was your mother's sand. She was protecting you. And now that she's a spirit, she has a new view on life and death. She merely decided that those people needed to see you from her perspective. You didn't do anything wrong. This was a bald-faced lie, which is why Yashimaru's smiling face covered his eyes as to not show them closed. This was 100% Naruto's fault due to his inability to control the One Tail, but the guilt was already weighing too heavy for Naruto to handle, so this lie would be white. Naruto didn't mean to do it, and he couldn't control it. Maybe a day would come when Naruto learned the truth, but today would not be that day. Naruto was just a child who had something he didn't want or need forced upon him. Suna had turned him into a weapon unwillingly, and neither he nor they could control that weapon. Naruto was as much a victim in this as anyone else. There was no fault on you, Naruto. Take solace in that. Naruto was so upset by what happened. Even if Yashimaru had told him he was innocent, Naruto felt deep in his heart that he wasn't. And so, as Yashimaru rocked him to sleep, Naruto could only think about what had happened and his place in it all. Eventually, Naruto was pulled into the realm of dreams, and Yashimaru would leave to speak with Kankuro and Temari, explaining to them what had happened. The two would be distraught about it, a little afraid of Naruto, but also their hearts were bleeding for their little brother. This issue ran deeper than any of them realized though, and Naruto would soon come to realize just how little power he had. Naruto's eyes would awaken in the mindscape. There, he witnessed a massive raccoon dog made of pure sand. Across the surface of his body were seal markings. Naruto recognized a few of them. He began to wonder if these markings were specifically to keep the beast in, or if they meant something else. As he stood there, the beast was silent and unmoving, like a statue. Naruto drew closer. Are you the sand demon inside of me? The beast finally moved, its diamond-shaped eyes peering down at him after so long being motionless. Are you the whelp imprisoning me? Naruto gave a slight nod. The beast radiated a subtle anger and hatred, yet its expression did not change, nor did it say anything. Naruto drew closer and touched it. What are you doing? It asked. I'm trying to understand you. Understand me? The beast asked. How could a mere human understand anything like me? You don't understand anything. Naruto pulled his hand back. I can tell that you're angry. You're very upset. Is that because of me? Shukaku would sneer. Yes, it is. Because of you and your father, your people, your whole race, your species. I hate everything about you. Naruto looked at its paw again. But you weren't always like this, were you? You used to like humans. There was one before me that you liked. Shukaku grew enraged. Just because we share bodies doesn't mean you have the right to be looking into my memories. You overstep your bounds, human, and for that I'll punish you. Naruto looked up. You may have a hard heart now, but I know there's good inside of you. There's goodness in you. The creature almost chuckled before catching it. Oh, there's good in me. How about I drag you back to reality? How about I show you what I really am and what you really are? He began to display a memory on the surface of the water, a memory of a pregnant woman, a memory of Naruto's mother, Karura. But he saw it from the outside. There was an altar and an elderly man nearby. Red chakra began to pour from every orifice of the man until it passed into Karura, coming back together in her womb, into Naruto. This was the day you were sealed into me, Naruto said. The memory began to play out more. He was seeing everything from Shukaku's perspective. Naruto was so small at the time, but he saw something. He saw a clawed hand, Naruto's own hand. The fingers had become the claws of a tailed beast. The claw reached out and popped the amniotic sac. Naruto watched closely because the claw didn't stop there. This is why you were born premature, Shukaku said. This is why your mother died. I killed her. I was trying to kill you as well. At the time, I believed it would be better to die with you than to live another lifetime imprisoned in a human. I wish you died when you were born. Tears rolled down Naruto's cheeks as he saw what was happening. He looked up at Shukaku. You took control of me. Shukaku's toothy smile appeared yet again on his face. Yes, I can take control of you while you sleep. While you sleep, less chakra's focused on the seal, and because of that, I can worm my way out through it. Maybe you forgot that. Maybe it's time that you learn again. Suddenly, Shukaku began to radiate intense levels of chakra. Naruto cried out for him to stop, but it was far too late. Rasa was in the Kazekage's chambers looking over papers on the report of Naruto having killed bystanders. He sat there and rubbed his face. If he doesn't learn to control Shukaku soon, the council will order him dead. Rasa didn't know what to do. And here, Rasa bore his heart where he wouldn't allow any to see. Maybe Rasa wasn't as heartless as he seemed. Maybe he wasn't actually a shit person. Maybe he had responsibilities that he had to handle, and that took away from the relationship that he might have wanted to have with his son. He knew Naruto's time was running out. Suddenly, there was a crash, as a massive roar was heard in the distance. Rasa stood from his seat and looked out the window where he saw the Tanuki standing tall, roaring in the distance. "Damn it, Naruto," Rasa said. He stepped outside. So many things were running through his head right now, and none of them were good. It looked like he might have to kill Naruto. Rasa approached the beast and began utilizing magnet release to raise waves of sand. The desert beyond, the desert permeating with iron and other metals, the desert filled with gold dust that had been one of the primary sources of funds for Suna was now turned into a weapon against the village. But it wasn't Shukaku alone who possessed the ability to manipulate this sand. Rasa had been practicing for years for just such an occasion. He'd been hoping that by drilling it into Naruto's head, chakra control, magnet release, maybe he might be able to control Shukaku. Rasa approached the beast as it was creating wave after wave of sand. A sandstorm was beginning to pick up and was threatening to soon devour everyone in the village. Rasa would hold out his hand and raise into the air all the gold dust within the village with him, pouring more from outside the village. The beast roared in anger and frustration as its own element was being turned against it. Rasa began to use a variant of the sand prison technique to seal Shukaku up. He used the sand and his own chakra to lift the beast into the air, where he then touched the sand to activate a sealing formula on the front that would cover the entirety of the pyramidal structure. A muffled roar could be heard from within as the entire structure shook, and suddenly all went quiet. Rasa dropped the pyramid to the ground and loosened it to show Naruto was still there. Rasa would then call for Yashimaru to take him away. Rasa had to speak with the council immediately and try to limit the damage done to Naruto's reputation, in hopes of saving him from certain doom. But as things continued to grow more and more dire during the conversation, the recommendation to have Naruto killed was brought to light. Rasa was unsure of what to do. Naruto was a failed experiment, and now the village was going to sweep the shogi board and set up a new game. "I'm not sure what to do, Yashimaru," Rasa said. "They've ordered me to kill him. I cannot deny the council. Doing so would not save Naruto and would only see me removed from office." Yashimaru thought about it. "You've been ordered to put out a hit on Naruto, right?" Rasa nodded. Yashimaru thought further about it. "You should do just that." Rasa was confused. "But he's my son. How can I kill my own son?" "I never said you should kill him, Lord Forth." It was beginning to hit Rasa. Rasa was beginning to understand. Yashimaru began to speak again. "Send someone who either can't or won't kill Naruto, and then you could call it a failed attempt. That could at least buy Naruto some time to become useful. Send me." Rasa shook his head. "No, I won't. I can't. I can't ask you to die, Yashimaru. I already sacrificed Karuta for this plan. I won't sacrifice anyone else." Yashimaru smiled. "It's okay, Rasa. Karuta was my sister and Naruto is my nephew. My sister died because she loved you and because she loved Naruto. I love you as well, and I love Naruto just as much as she did. I'll gladly give my life in service to you both." Rasa shook his head. "No, it's out of the question." Yashimaru took on a more serious expression. "Rasa, Lord Forth, if you respect me at all, and if you love your son even a little, you will let me do this." Rasa thought about it for a moment as he strained to stop tears from coming to his eyes. "Fine. If you're sure about this, I won't stop you." The next night, Naruto sat on the ledge, looking down over the village at the damage done. "I did this." Suddenly, a grouping of kunai were thrown at Naruto, which were caught by sand. They had tags attached to them which caused them to explode. Naruto panicked. Suddenly, the sand he had rushed out and grabbed the one attacking him, crushing his body. Naruto drew closer and saw the shinobi who had attacked him. He removed the facial covering to see it was Yashimaru. "Why?" Naruto asked. "Because I was ordered to, by your father." "Why does father want me dead?" Naruto asked. Yashimaru thought about the answer. "Because you're a failed experiment. You can't control your powers, and because of that, he hates you. And so do I. If not for you, my sister would still be alive." These words cut Naruto like a knife. "I don't love you, Naruto. I never did. And my sister died cursing your name. It's why she named you what she did. A self-loving carnage. That's what your name meant. You've never been loved, not once. Naruto sat there for a moment, and then took Yashimaru's hand. You don't need to lie to me, uncle. Yashimaru was stunned. Lie to you? I hate your guts. I wish you had died during childbirth instead of my sister. Why don't you just die? Yashimaru ripped open his vest to show explosive tags. Naruto shook his head and looked at his uncle. You can say what you want, uncle, but I know you. I know my father, and I know my mother. Shukaku showed me the memories of my birth. He wanted to show me to cause me pain, but all he did was show me my mother's last words, my father's emotional struggle, and your vow to take care of me in my father's place. I saw Tamari take on the role of mother, and I saw Kankuro in his confusion, but his love for me, I've seen it. Your words cannot alter the truth in my heart. I know as well as you do. Yashimaru began to cry. Please, Naruto, you're not capable of controlling Shukaku. The council wants you dead. Flee from the village. Take your siblings and run as far as possible. Your father will cover your tracks. Please, just run before they make him attempt to kill you again. Naruto shook his head and rested his hand gently on Yashimaru's chest. No, I will not leave. I won't abandon my village, and I won't abandon my father. I will learn to control my tailed beast, even if it kills me. And if I can't, then I won't stop them from taking it from me. I love Suna, and I will fight and die to protect it. This I swear to you. Yashimaru laid there. I wish you would save yourself. He then passed away. Naruto sat up and looked down at the dead body of the man who had pretty much raised him. Some sand rose from the ground. It floated to Naruto's forehead, and there he carved into it the kanji for love. With this mark, I swear to control my beast and protect my village. And from that moment, Naruto began to buckle down and learn more. And during the night, when everyone else was asleep, he would sneak out of the village into the Golden Desert to continue his training. There, his father met with him often, and would proceed to teach him a bit more about how to control his beast, as well as how to control the sand with his magnet release. Naruto began to pick it up, and Naruto slowly began to master everything Rasa showed him, and this eventually led to Rasa being able to rescind the order to kill Naruto. Naruto grew a bit more controlled. But at the same time, in another village, another child was born into the world, born to the 4th Hokage and his wife, Kushina. This child would be threatened by a mysterious masked man, who planned to take the Nine Tails from the body of the 4th Hokage's wife. This child's name was Gaara, and he was the new Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. Gaara had received the Nine Tails on the day of his actual birth. After the beast had been freed, Gaara would be taken to a secret location by Minato and left safely. Minato would then go out to find Kushina, but the Nine Tails was already removed. She was dying, and she knew it. Minato knew it too. He needed to stop the Nine Tails from destroying the village. He would rush out and use flying Raijin to transport the beast back to their home, where he and his weakened wife fought to seal the beast again. She said she would drag it to the grave with her, but Minato told her that such a thing was not a good idea, and that in the end the village would suffer. So he proposed that they seal it into Gaara, so that he could continue to be a deterrent against the other nations. But if we do this, then we'll be condemning our child to a life like I had. Perhaps worse, Kushina said. He won't have anyone. He'll have neither you or I, and he'll have no one to love or protect him. No love to help him control the beast. Minato nodded. That's why we'll seal a bit of our love into him, and remind him that he's beautiful, and that his life meant more to us than the world. And so Kushina agreed. Together they sealed the beast into the newborn Gaara, and in the process lost their own lives. Gaara would be taken care of by nurses for a while until he was able to handle himself, after which he was then put out to live on his own. Gaara had always been alone, had never known any love. The 3rd Hokage would often visit his house with rent money, but they rarely talked or did anything together. Gaara would then go out and find that people weren't the kindest. Hardly. They were mean. They watched him with the angriest looks. They avoided him, refused to allow their kids to play with him, and they would even go so far as to throw him out of their shops. Gaara never understood why. As Gaara walked home, he would be dragged into an alleyway by an older shinobi who smelled heavily of alcohol. This shinobi mentioned that it was because of Gaara that his son, daughter-in-law, and unborn grandchild had been killed. Consequences be damned, this man told Gaara exactly what he was, the fox demon of the village, and then beat him half to death because of it. As he continued to beat Gaara, he would lift him up and press him against the wall. One of Gaara's tear-filled eyes was swollen shut, his bleeding cheek puffed out, and from his broken lips he asked but a simple question. Why? Why would he hurt him? Why was he beating him up? What had Gaara done to this man? You took everything from me, the man shouted. You took my family, my legacy, and I'm supposed to accept that you belong in this village? I may be a shinobi, but the Hokage can't order me to do that. Damn Hiruzen and damn this village. The older shinobi then pulled a kunai out and pointed it at Gaara's throat. And damn you to hell. The man went to stab Gaara, but Gaara held out his hands to protect himself, unaware that he had called upon the Nine-Tails' power, manifesting claws that pierced the man's throat. The shinobi let go of Gaara and stumbled back a bit, grabbing at his wound. Gaara hit the ground. There was a commotion at the entrance of the alleyway, people looking in. The shinobi saw his blood and felt as if every breath was drowning him. He looked at Gaara for a moment. This boy had stolen everything from him, his child, his daughter-in-law, his unborn grandchild, and now he had stolen his life. He resented Gaara for that, and with the last bit of his strength, he kicked Gaara in the side of the head, sending him reeling. The man himself then keeled over and died. Gaara was out for quite some time. When he next awoke, he was in Konoha General. He had a concussion and one of the vertebrae in his neck had been cracked from the force of the strike. His face and body were bruised, and despite this, the nurses almost seemed to blame him for what had happened, to the point that Gaara would ask them to increase the pain medication for his neck, and they refused, saying that if he was in pain, that he deserved it for bringing it upon himself. He tried to explain to them that he didn't pick the fight, but they wouldn't listen. He had killed someone, and even if it was in self-defense, he still heard them calling him the murderer. His eyes ran over with tears, and as he closed them to let unconsciousness dull the pain, he heard the deep, rumbling voice of the Nine-Tails. See, they hate you, just as they hate me. They don't deserve you. Gaara would later be released from the hospital after his neck had healed, and he was allowed to return home. There, he rested for some time before eventually returning to his regular, everyday life. He would attend the academy, and there he'd be avoided like the plague. He saw the way the students looked at him, heard their voices calling him a murderer from behind. Demon, that's what the other kids called him. He was alone. He was always alone. Nobody loved him. He wondered what happened to his real parents. Had they been killed by him? Did they die in the Nine-Tails attack? Or was it possible that they knew who and what he was the moment he was born and abandoned him? There was no way of knowing. As he rested more, he came before the gate that held Kurama back. Their hatred of you is based in fear. They're scared of you, and so they should be. Kurama came to the gate and pushed his face out as far as the bars would let him. He talked to Gaara straight. They're scared of you because you have the power to take from them whatever you want. And maybe you should. Maybe they don't deserve to have you. Maybe they deserve to be the ones who have nothing. Gaara attempted to drown out Kurama's words. After all, he was merely a self-serving demon. But then again, were either of them so different? Gaara had changed after that. He was only alive now because he could still be useful. And so he would be useful, but he would have his revenge one day, and when he did, no one would be safe. There would be nowhere anyone could hide. He was carnage incarnate, and he hoped to remind people of that. And that's where I think I'll stop for now. I'm enjoying this story so far, and I hope you are too. I plan to continue it soon, so be sure to drop down in the comments and tell me what you want to see next from this story. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified of our latest videos as they drop, and if you're interested in more videos like this one, I highly recommend checking out these videos here. Until next time, peace.